The movie begins on a breathtaking note, perched high in the rugged mountains. Here, we witness a pivotal moment as Master Gregory, a prominent figure in the world of magic, successfully captures Mother Malkin, an immensely powerful witch. The scene is fraught with tension as Mother Malkin, despite her formidable powers, finds herself in captivity, desperately pleads Master Gregory for her release. After years pass, Malkin manages to regain her strength during a blood moon and she escapes from where she was locked up by turning into a dragon. Meanwhile, in a nearby village, there's a guy named Bradley, who's learning magic from Master Gregory. Bradley goes to find Gregory because a child in the village is sick. Gregory, though, says he doesn't fight supernatural stuff anymore, but their peaceful interaction takes a chaotic turn when an arrogant knight intervenes, demanding Gregory to take action. Gregory initially refuses but ends up fighting Gregory, who's really good at this, and defeats the knight. Later, Gregory eventually decides to accompany Bradley to the village when they hear the ringing of the bells, a clear indication that their presence is urgently needed. As they arrive in the village, they come across a troubling sight, a little girl who appears to be under the control of something sinister. Gregory steps up to confront the child and is startled when she speaks in a demonic voice. It soon becomes clear that Malkin, the witch from earlier, is the one behind the possession, whose strength has been restored since Gregory's imprisonment. Malkin boldly reveals herself, taunting Gregory with her presence. She attempts to ensnare Bradley with her enchanting beauty, but Bradley manages to resist her and joins forces with his master in an effort to capture her. Malkin turns into a dragon and Bradley grabs onto her as they both attempt to trap her. But then, Malkin tries to run away, and when they almost put her in a cage, she takes Bradley with her. Gregory has to make a tough choice to save his apprentice, but then he burns the cage. But Malkin still has power left and escapes by turning into a dragon. Far away in a quiet village, lives a family of farmers. Tom, the seventh son in the family, dreams of hunting pigs and escaping his dull hometown. His sister, Kate, scolds him for neglecting his chores. Suddenly, Tom experiences a strange vision. Concerned, Kate summons their mother, Ma'am, who possesses knowledge about their son's condition. Right at this time, Master Gregory arrives at their home on a boat. He knows that there's a special tradition in their family. They have a seventh son who has the qualification of becoming a knight like him. Master Gregory really wants Tom to join him, so he offers a lot of money to Tom's family to make it happen. Tom realizes that Master Gregory is the same person he saw in his visions, so he agrees to become his student. Just before Tom leaves with Gregory, his mother secretly gives him a mysterious pendant, hiding it from Gregory. Meanwhile, inside her fortress, Malkin takes care of her injured sister, Lizzie, and starts repairing the fortress that was damaged because of Gregory. Lizzie tells Malkin about the hardships they've faced due to Gregory. Meanwhile, Gregory and Tom make their way to a nearby town to get some supplies. While they're there, Tom notices a commotion in the town square. He sees a girl he remembers from his visions, and she's being accused of being a witch. Tom decides to use his status as Gregory's apprentice to step in and handle the situation. Later on, Tom hides in a narrow alley and helps a girl named Alice escape from trouble. It turns out Alice is Lizzie's daughter and works as a spy for the witches, and her mission is to keep an eye on Gregory. Gregory and Tom continue their journey, entering a spooky forest filled with strange creatures called ghasts. In the forest, they meet some of Gregory's former apprentices who had all been killed by dangerous creatures. Gregory shares stories about Bradley, his most skilled apprentice, who was tragically killed by Malkin. Their mission is to reach Malkin's fortress on Pendle Mountain and stop her before she becomes too powerful and causes destruction in cities. But as they press on, Tom experiences more unsettling visions and suddenly collapses. Tom wakes up on a boat and meets Tusk, a companion of his master. They finally reach Gregory's home. Tom notices an old tapestry showing the Falcons, a group of knights who were once strong against evil forces. He realizes that Gregory is the last Falcon left, as the other knights turn to darkness. Gregory urgently reminds Tom that there's only a week left before a dangerous event called the Red Moon, when Malkin and her witch allies become extremely powerful. Before leaving Tom alone, Gregory instructs him to stay inside his room. As a test for Tom, Gregory triggers a dark creature, which disturbs Tom. Tom hears the noise and goes to check, but the creature attacks him. Gregory initially thinks Tom failed, but he's surprised when Tom throws a dagger that almost hits him. Tom asks Gregory to teach him. He studies Malkin's top followers and learns about tools and potions to fight witches. Meanwhile, Malkin meets her top followers, Radu, who brings her skilled assassins. She frightens them and kills one for looking at her. This makes Alice worried about following Malkin, so she talks to Lizzie. Lizzie convinces her that it's the right choice, and that Malkin's powers will protect them from being targeted and burned by men. Alice keeps spying on Tom and Gregory. She baits under the moonlight on purpose to get Tom's attention. When they touch, a blue spark appears. Tom figures out that Alice is a witch, but he doesn't seem to dislike her. He even tells her that he and his master are going to Pendle Mountain to fight Malkin. Then, Alice vanishes once more. The following day, Gregory is called to a walled city, which delays their trip to Pendle Mountain. His mission there is to confront Urag, who is considered the most lethal of Malkin's henchmen. Gregory entrusts Tom with the task of dealing with Urag. Tom hesitates to kill Urag and ultimately decides not to do it. This disappoints Gregory, who leaves without him. Unbeknownst to Gregory and Tom, Alice observes the events from the shadows. Later, she approaches Tom, and their connection intensifies into a passionate moment. Alice believes that the earlier blue spark was a sign that their souls were destined to meet. Tom desires to find a safe place with Alice, but she thinks it's an impossible dream. However, when Tom has visions of Malkin defeating Gregory, he decides to go back to his master and help him. During this time, Gregory opens up to Tom about his past. He confesses that he was once in love with Malkin, but their relationship soured when she discovered he had a wife. In a fit of jealousy, Malkin murdered Gregory's wife. In an act of mercy, Gregory chose not to kill Malkin but instead imprisoned her. However, he now recognizes that this was a grave mistake. Meanwhile, all of Malkin's lieutenants, except for Uger, gather together. Alice informs them that the two spooks, Gregory and Tom, are getting closer to their fortress. To deal with potential threats, they come across a boggart, a giant creature with limited vision. A battle ensues, but Gregory misinterprets the situation, thinking the boggart is afraid of water. This misunderstanding leads to a waterfall encounter, with Tom ultimately defeating the boggart. After the fight, Lizzie confronts Tom, but her sword accidentally strikes his pendant. To her surprise, Lizzie realizes that the pendant belongs to Malkin and quickly retreats. Tom shows the pendant to Gregory, who identifies it as an Umbran stone, a potent witch talisman that enhances their ability to create illusions. This talisman had once amplified Malkin's power, but was stolen by another witch. After the pendant incident, Gregory successfully defeats Malkin. This leads them to suspect that Mam Ward might be a witch who stole the pendant, a revelation that could imply Tom possesses witch-like powers, despite being an apprentice spook. At the same time, Lizzie informs Malkin about Tom's feelings for Alice, having sensed it during their encounter. In response, Malkin instructs Alice to retrieve the pendant from Tom, offering the possibility of sparing his life as a reward. Malkin and her lieutenants launch an attack on a village, driven by a desire for vengeance against the men who executed witches. Coincidentally, Mam Ward is present in the village and chooses to defend it, despite her family's warnings about the impending danger. Malkin quickly identifies a witch who has turned against her and is supporting the villagers. In response, she kills Mam Ward. The journey of Gregory, Tom, and Tusk continues. While Gregory and Tusk briefly leave Tom behind to check on something, Alice emerges and approaches Tom. When Gregory and Tusk return, they capture Alice. Tom, however, believes that not all witches are evil and defends her, ultimately releasing her. Unfortunately, he doesn't realize that Alice has stolen his pendant. The trio then pursues Alice into a forest, where they are met by Malkin's formidable army. A fierce battle unfolds, resulting in Tom and Tusk falling off a cliff, while Gregory is captured and subsequently brought before Malkin. After regaining consciousness from their fall, Tom encounters the spirit of his late mother, who urges him to find courage, accept his unique abilities, and confront Malkin. Tom then locates Tusk, who also survived the fall, and together they set out for Pendle Mountain. Meanwhile, Malkin's lieutenants deliver Gregory before her. She employs a seductive approach, using the stone to amplify her powers. In another part of the story, Alice is devastated to discover that Malkin's army had left Tom to die. Alice intervenes during her aunt's manipulation and removes her pendant, dispelling the illusions and snapping Gregory back to his senses. Malkin pursues Alice, but Lizzie, her mother, stands firm, defending her daughter with unwavering determination, as Alice means everything to her. Up in the sky, both Malkin and Lizzie transform into dragons and engage in an intense aerial pursuit. Meanwhile, on the ground, a fierce battle unfolds as Alice, Tom, and Gregory confront Malkin's formidable army. Tom eventually finds Alice, who confesses that she took the pendant with the intention of convincing Malkin to spare Tom's life. Noticing the pendant buried beneath the fortress's wreckage, Tom taps into his newfound powers. He combines the spook staff with the pendant, unleashing a formidable force that easily overpowers Malkin's lieutenants. In a separate struggle, Malkin and Lizzie engage in combat, resulting in injuries for both. However, in the final showdown, Malkin gains the upper hand. She expresses her disapproval of her sister's betrayal and proceeds to kill her. Then, Gregory figures out that he has to deal with Malkin all on his own. So, he goes into the fortress all by himself. Inside, he finds Malkin lying on her bed, and she asks him how he feels about her. Gregory tells her the truth, that he doesn't love her anymore, and he secretly gets ready to attack her with a sharp knife. But right before he can do it, Malkin starts to strangle him. It's a very dangerous moment. Just in time, Tom comes in through the door and throws a knife at Malkin. The knife hurts her badly. Then, Tom makes sure Malkin won't hurt anyone else. He sets her bed on fire, and that's what finally ends her reign of doing bad things. Together, they all leave the fortress, knowing they've beaten the powerful witch. After some time has passed, Gregory does something important. He marks Tom's hand with a special symbol of the Falcon Knights. This means he accepts Tom as a master, like himself. It's a way of saying they're a team now. Then, Tom meets Alice again. She understands that Tom has chosen to fight against bad things instead of staying with her. Tom gets ready to leave, thinking he's off to a new journey. But here comes a surprise. Tom finds out that the horse he was getting ready for himself was actually meant for Gregory, who wants some quiet and peaceful time now. Decides to be really kind. He gives Tom his home and everything he owns. Tom watches his old teacher ride away into the distance, but suddenly, he hears a bell ringing. This bell means there's a new mission, a new adventure waiting for him. Without wasting a moment, he gets ready to go on this fresh journey.